Welcome, guys, to the SBN Network podcast. I'm your host, Steph, and with me is...
I'm Scott.
Yes.
And I'm Scott. We know how to do intros now.
This is a podcast where we take some deep dives into some wonderful artists and kind of look at their account in a different way, which is always a little bit positive, a little awesome, and you guys can enjoy their accounts with us.
And now that we've gotten more professional, I try not to say any dumb stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I try to at least always end on a good note. Did it work? Perfect.
Yes, it is. Ta-da!
And then Scott has to take his sip because that's our regular routine.
And we begin.
I actually thought that was weird at first, and I was like, I didn't get that invite.
So Rob, if we call you Rob, is that okay?
It's good to call me Rob because, well, my name is Roberto. It's in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
You add the O to the Robert, but yeah, Rob is for short.
Rob, perfect. And I want to say welcome and thank you so much. I know we chat online a lot. It's good to see your face and hang out. So I'm really excited about this because your account is super bright, and as for somebody who loves anime, I love seeing your images. So it's a lot of fun. So welcome.
Yeah, I agree. I always like having as fun as it's also fun, obviously, to have people who kind of shoot in a similar way to the way you shoot, but it's really fun because I always like seeing new things, and your style is completely different than mine. And so I like to see what you do. What's your process? You use much more high key photography than I do. I'm much more I kind of desaturate and level everything. You have much more vibrance, and it's intense, and there's a lot of just really punchy, beautiful shots. So it's fun. It's fun having you on here. I'm really, really excited. So
yeah, well, for me, I don't want to say I have a process because sometimes I take 2 days, or sometimes I get half an hour like today. I was talking to Steph and the photo. I was so sick this week that I forgot about it. So I had to take it today. I had the idea so clear that it takes less time to add this today, because sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes with the idea. And it for me, it's all about the characters, Sometimes I know people like battles and dancing and such. I don't know, maybe the multiple posing and all of that, but I like only to display the character. That's all for me,
Yeah, it's awesome, and I'm so happy that's one of the first things you stated, because that was something that I pointed out in my little kind of write up about you. That is something you do that I love. I've always liked photographers when they do that. It's fun to see action. It's fun to see excitement, but when you pose your characters, there's a real it's really authentic, and it's very them, and it's very just an in the moment situation. They look like they're real. They're in a real human or alien, whatever the character is. They're in that pose, and they're just living. It's about them and their surroundings, and typically you focus a lot on one character, and you let that character be the shining star of the image. You don't use a lot of extra, characters running around. You'll still have them interact. I know you had that one, the Pokemon one with all the Pokemon in the back with Ash, but a lot of the times you will really just hone in on one character in a very natural pose, a very organic position where they're not bending or contorting or fighting. They're just them. And I think that's so cool. It just makes your feed look beautiful and very clean. So
thanks a lot for that. Yeah, it's all that for me, because I have tried, and it's not that I don't like it, but I like more only the story of the character. That's what I want to share with you guys, and maybe have a talk with some of you when I post a photo, I don't know, from Pokemon, and then people is going to tell me, I love that Pokemon, and that's all for me. Connecting with all you people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all for me.
That's awesome.
And I'm going to bring up we have like a little slideshow of some of my favorite shots of yours. So prepare yourself
Oh,
because there's quite a few. So
yeah, I saw you did this, and I thought that it was related to this. Yeah.
yeah. But the first one we have is I pulled the very first photo I could find on your feed. And then I tried to find one that was going to be similar. So I pulled both of these together for
So
your
much
first
fun.
and newer one to kind of show the kind of where your count started and then kind of where you're kind of at right now, which your bouquet, the shiny parts in the back, you have like goals for this. Like I can't believe how much perfection you have for the bouquet in the back. Like it's hard for me to get sometimes, and your shots are like stellar.
Yeah.
So whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's awesome.
Your depth is fantastic. I love, but again, that comes with you focusing on these individual characters, is you really give the character an opportunity to pop out and let them be the, all that's in focus there is Bulbasaur's eyes, mouth, even the ears are starting to go a little bit soft. It's perfect. It's just like that is the character. This is it, living its life, doing its thing. And you've got, a little bit of rock in the front. And it's so funny, you go back and like nothing wrong with it, but you look at how much it's changed, like where you weren't, it was more about the whole scene. And now you've come in real tight on the character and really made the character be the focus, several years later. It's cool how what becomes important to us, artistically changes. And I think that's so cool. I think this is great. And I always love when Steph manages to find like the same character from like the first image to like your most recent of that character. So
yeah, I think I actually started with my phone. I remember that time. And that's the same figure, by the way. Well, it looks like it. Yeah, it's the same figure. So, for example, that one at the right, I wasn't planning to post that. I think that remained on my backlog for a long time, and then I posted it as a thank you to all my followers and all of that. So, yeah, that was a pretty good. I took a lot that time with Bulbasaur, so I didn't know which one to post because I don't want to have my feed with all the same character all the time. So I have my type of rules, I will say, like maybe 2 times tops, the same line, the same story, and I can repeat a character in a couple of times. Yeah.
I love that. That again. This again goes back to kind of what I had said about you is your feed is thought out, and you can tell that like that you're that specific about like a character, not like overusing a particular character and making sure different characters get into the rotation and get the same opportunity. Like you're just like this equal toy inclusiveness, and I love that. I think that's really, really fun and really cool. Because it creates a really good flow, and it's like you scroll 6 photos up and it's changing, and another 3 later, and it's like it's that nice smooth people can go through your feed top to bottom and really enjoy the entire experience. So
thanks a lot. Yeah.
I have a question though, because your handle is Flames Figures.
Yeah.
Is it actually your last name is Flames?
No, that's actually what people think. But I will tell you my full name. Okay, it's in Spanish. It's Roberto Preciado Casillas. But I have been using Flames since I was a teenager. That's because I have a plan for a book that I'm writing right now. It's about the Man in Fire, the Man in Flames, you will say. So that's a reminder to me. So I don't keep up out of my mind. So I've been doing that for a long time now, and it kind of stick out with me, Flames. So here in Mexico, my friends call me Flamas, Flamas, which is the same, Flames. Yeah, but yeah, it's not my name.
But that's a really great idea to keep you on point. Like it reels you back in. Like it's always that reminder. It's like the idea of wrapping, like putting a ribbon around your finger. You're always being. It's looking at you in the face right now as you're talking to us. You're seeing that, and it's reminding you of like your book and wanting to do that, like that being a big goal and stuff. And God, that's a brilliant idea. I love it. I love that.
Thank you.
So smart.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, this is cool.
This was cool. From 1 year ago, actually. I'm posting on Thursdays my throwbacks, but I wanted to post that one, but then I got to take one about Alphonse, so this one had to wait. I actually love this one. I love Full Metal Alchemist. Those have all my love.
I have to ask now that we're getting into the weeds now. What do you use? I know you said you started with a phone. What's your gear now?
Well, I started with the phone. Then I moved. There's an account here on Instagram. It was called Yesterday at the moment. I don't know if he's posting still, but he got absent for a long time. And then I asked him which camera was he using, and he told me a Canon T7i. I don't know if it has another name. I started with that one, and I just bought my R6, and I'm pretty excited with this. It's mirrorless. It's new to me, so I'm kind of playing with it. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
When did you get the mirrorless? How long ago?
I would say maybe 2 weeks tops. It's
nice. So it's real fresh. Awesome. Yeah. That's cool. Good for you.
I just got my T7i. That's like my upgrade. So it's great that you've been using it for that long.
I'm actually missing it. You know, I went through all of the cameras and the functions in it. It's pretty good. You're gonna love it.
I'm pretty excited about figuring it all out. It's interesting being able to like touch the screen and it starts like doing.
Yeah, it's pretty helpful.
It's actually nice without having to have the timers and everything all over the place. Frees up your hands for dirt throwing.
Yeah. Do you remember what lens you shot this photo with, by any chance? No pressure if you don't. It's a long time ago. It's like
it might be one of two. Or maybe it was my 50M lens, or maybe it was that 35 a macro shot. Yeah, that I have.
Gotcha.
I don't remember because actually my camera stopped. Yeah, I don't know what I did to it, but I couldn't stop using. I couldn't start using the 50M lens again. I don't know why it wasn't that clear, so I had to use only the macro one. It was cool to me. That's why I bought my new camera. I was angry.
I get you. Yeah, I've been there. I've felt that exact feeling, and then you get something different. Yeah, the sharp is as sharp as can be. I mean, it's perfect. It's so like whenever that happens, I know that's one of the reasons I think people do, enjoy this show, and one of the things we will talk about later with your feed specifically, is trying to figure out people's process, whether that's the equipment, whether that's the mental process, whether that's the grander artistic vision, whatever it is. And so it's always just nice to kind of get into the specifics of it, just so people, maybe this will give somebody an idea, like they see this and they think, oh, I want to try something like that. But it is, I mean, those lines, everything is just so sharp, so good. And even, this is a real specific question, but I'm curious. Do you tend to crop your photos, or do you take it pretty much out of camera as is?
No, I try to keep it as it is. I do that, not that often, or maybe just a little bit, but I don't like it. I like to be everything in the camera. Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious because I tend to not be a cropper either. I tend to I like to just have it framed the way I intended for it to be photographed. And then I'll edit, do all the editing and stuff. That's fine. But I don't really love to change it. And when you look at this, you look at how you made sure that wire on top did not leave the frame. It's pointing, the horn is pointing right into that corner. Everything is just very, very intentional and very accurate. And like I said, that's not something that happens like by accident. That's somebody's subconscious art brain making things near perfect. So just really cool.
This is the 3.0 Alphonse, right?
Yeah, I mean, look.
Yeah. When you opened that box, wasn't that like the coolest figure ever?
Yeah, it is. And I actually love all Alphonse figures. Yeah, it's this one. I have it closed because I want to have a display just like this one, but for these figures because they deserve it. So yeah, I'm doing that.
He's even got, this is from an anime, Scott, that's like one of the best animes. This is the one I wanted you to watch first, was Brotherhood, because it's so good.
You're gonna love it. It's like I would say like it's the Japanese the Last Airbender.
Okay.
How it looks and the story and kind of that. Yeah, you're gonna love it.
Yeah. But this figure has like so many details to it. They have like this back piece that you can't even see. You'd have to take his head off to like do that. But they have like the little like the emblem on the inside from what Ed did. Just like the details for this line was incredible. It was ridiculous.
What company is this?
3-0.
Yeah.
So they're 6 scale, posable, movable.
Who were we just talking about with 3-0? What other line do they make? Weren't we just talking about this stuff?
They have a bunch.
Was it Ninja Turtles?
They have those too.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of. I just remember we just talked about this like a week ago, and I was like wondering if we talked about it with Emma or something like that. But okay, so 3-0 does these. That's awesome.
Yeah, they have some really good ones. But I remember like that's hair, like it's real hair, like for it's like because he's a suit of armor.
Oh, so that's hair that comes out of the. Oh, that's cool. That's even cooler. I like that. How neat. This was cool. And your behind the scenes, I'm not going to lie, was super neat with this. Your approach here. And again, this is, I mean, we can start talking about this, but what you do with your behind the scenes was the reason why I felt the need to post a series like you do, because even though I don't typically focus on my behind the scenes stuff, it has become, and you only really started doing that in like summer of 2020, right? Was when you started doing those behind the scenes series.
I actually have 1 year with the same layout and the same feed.
Yeah. It's, and I think it is so cool the way you do it. It is such a defining feature of your feed. And, you know, as a group, as a community, that's something that, you know, most people, I mean, there's a few people out there who are a little like, ugh, but like most people want to share their process because that's the fun of it, and like experimenting the way people do. And what you did, and I'm going to let you explain what you did here. If people have not seen it, go check out the behind the scenes of this photo. But I want you to talk about what you did here because it's really freaking cool.
Well, this one was really stressful because this is when you truly learn how to clean a glass, because it was everything in the camera. And so maybe some of you don't know, but this was a piece of glass, and the figure was only posed in the glass like this. And I had this wall diorama, so I had to put it behind it, and it was kind of in top of it. And then I started playing with the lights and all of that. Because you said something today in your post, and I truly love it, because that's what I do. I love backlight, you know, that counter that it makes. I love how it looks. And for this one, I actually felt a little bad at the end because I couldn't see the legs. And there was people asking, where are the legs? And they're behind it. But okay, I kind of see it now. But yeah, that happened at the time.
No, I don't think... in this photo, I don't think it's necessary because we know his legs are back there, and the fact that he's coming at you, like, you know, this, the angle, everything you did here, I thought was really, really cool, and I loved your process on it. And yeah, the backlight thing is so key to your feed as well, and you do it well. Like, you know, sometimes backlight can just look like a terrible accident. It can. It's just the nature of it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work with phones most of the time. And, you know, backlight is everybody's worst enemy when you're trying to take like a family photo or something like that on a trip, because everybody disappears. But if you use it correctly, and which you do constantly, it just gives the photo so much life and so much punch. And this is no exception to that. It's so great here, and I think it's just such a great part of your feed, and I love scrolling through it and seeing all that, like, that just blasting you, that like you use backlight instead of, like, I know some people will use like fireworks and actual fire and stuff. You just use light as your pop, and I think that's what's really, really cool about your execution with backlight. It's a really neat thing. And then going back to framing on this one, I mean, come on, like there's nothing to complain about. It's just so cool. the way you got the bottom of the the city porch thing kind of going up into the corner perfectly, and then got that neat little triangle of light right above his head, like almost pointing at Miles's, himself. It's so cool. So cool. You got the little window on the bottom corner, the right in the center on the bottom pointing up. So you've got the two arrows pointing top and bottom, and then that light just like blasting up his arm. Oh, there we go. I'm done. That's cool.
I just like this figure is awesome looking too. Like he must have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
is this the Mafex? Is this?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
I actually have mixed feelings with Sentinel on this one because a mix of both. It's a perfect figure, but I could only buy one.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's cool with the soft goods too, because it's a little bit different sometimes to be able to add that to your, because like Figmas and stuff don't come with the soft goods all the time, so it's fun to every now and again.
Exactly, yes.
We're gonna go with some outdoor stuff now too.
So I love this.
I love outdoors too.
Mm-hmm. I love this photo. It makes this is a real happy photo, and whether it was intentional or not, like Charmander's little arm almost kind of grabbing Ash, like is so there's something so adorable about that. Like he's like hey, come on, let's do it. Like it's great. What a good shot. I like this one.
Yeah, this photo was so happy that I had to edit its mouth because it's kind of angry. The figure it doesn't have a happy face, and I hate that about this figure. I had to edit that. I had to put that backwards, and it's happy now.
That's amazing that you did that. Like that is such a good call. Because it definitely makes this photo, like if he had been angry and it wouldn't have made any sense. It's like it's such a springy kind of summer into summer sort of positive, like let's go do this. And if he'd been angry, it would have been like, oh, that's so weird.
That's a kid going out for an adventure,
Oh yeah,
that worked for me, this shot. And for me, Red, I always say it, but Red is myself as a kid. Playing Pokemon and starting an adventure that I don't want to come home ever again. So yeah, that's Red to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And is Charmander your favorite? Is it for like Pokemon? I just want to ask. Like,
it's pretty weird, because I love actually 3 of them. I choose Charmander most of the time, but I actually love Squirtle and Bulbasaur. So I would say Charmander it's my favorite, but just by a little piece because I love all of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't put it in here, but you have a shot of Dugong, which is like the seal one with the practical effects in the water. Your use of the natural elements as well as like the pieces that come with some of these figures is just so well done. And like my thing on this one is just the way that you allowed like the grass to kind of come in and out of focus and everything like that. It's just really cool from somebody who shoots outdoors. I always love it from the ground level down too. It gives its own adventure feel too.
Yeah, and you really picked a spot like in the rough here that doesn't like. I'm not a stickler for this, so I don't really care. But like, you found vegetation that does not like screw with the scale at all. Like this is a very believable patch of grass and weeds that could it could grow that size if this is like a 5'5" character or whatever. I don't know how tall that character is supposed to be. It's very believable. And again, I'm not one of those people who gets like annoyed with that, but it worked perfectly here. It was like you actually nailed it. Like every single one of these plants looks like it could just be in the wild with these characters. So that's like an added bonus. So I love it.
Yeah, thanks. That's actually really important to me, the scale in what I'm doing, because I don't have a problem with it if you have an idea for using it. It's not, for example, like we're doing something with Pikmin, so an out of scale will work. But for other figures, I always say the example of Spider-Man in the beach. It has to make sense to me what the character is doing. So
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes I'll take a shot of my shelf. I don't know, with my figures, and that's okay. But if I want to make you think that he's outside having an adventure, that's what I'll do. It has to
You nailed it.
make.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Nailed it. Like there's not a single
Speaking of
scrap.
Pikmin.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I love Pikmin so badly. Yeah, that's what I met with Steph, actually, because I saw one of her shots of Pikmin, and that's I am a simple man. I see Pikmin and I lost my mind. Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because not a lot of people like photograph these figures and everything like that. And so when I saw Olimar in like anything, I was like, oh my gosh, I had to put this in the feed because it's one of my favorites too. I play as him if I play Smash Bros. It's either Sonic or Olimar, so I just I love it. It's exciting.
And now we're actually pointing out the feel you've done with this whole behind the scene thing. I think you have created a visual brand so particular to you that you've now made you've made a presence where I feel like if people see this, they are going to immediately associate it with you. And I think that is so important. I think that's so cool about what you've done is you've not only created, great photos that people enjoy looking at, but you're also creating an identity beyond just your style. You're creating an actual like a brand identity. And this is you. This is Rob. This is now like when people see this, it's consistent. This is how you do your behind the scene. And this is what people can expect from you. And I think that doing that is so awesome. And I always talk about presentation. Like people hear me talking about this all the time on here. And I know it's like get tired of Scott talking about curated Instagram pages, but this is what you do. You've made a system. You're placing them at the same points in the feed so that they're lining up, and all the way you put the circle around the character every time. There's always that circle. You've always got the little flame logo right in between, behind the scenes. You try to bring the color from the image into the like these are all very specific little details that make you identifiable. And just cheers to that. Like super hardcore cheers to that.
You're making me feel like someone noticed finally. Yeah, because also to me, I put the name of the character and where this character comes from, because sometimes I wanted to show people, maybe they don't know the character, but I love this character, this show. Where does this character come from? So you might want to ask yourself, and maybe take a look at the games, take a look at the anime, take a look at the series, and that's what I want to do. Make it more interesting for all the people.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the next one because the next one's the actual behind the scenes for this too, so you guys can see, because this made me so excited because it's not your like you created the dirt place and like everything else out there and like created this atmosphere. It's just so cool.
And you're giving your viewers a chance to see how it happens. I think that's one of the things about toy photography specifically. And I'm not saying this works for every single art form. I mean, I think it kind of does, but not as aggressively as toy photography. Toy photography, the whole knowing how the sausage is made kind of a thing, like that's sort of the fun of it, because it is so, you're using things you find, you're using someone like me. I mean, I'm using garbage a lot of the times. I use trash. You're using a light on a subject that's just standing in a little pile of dirt with some vegetation behind it. I mean, this is the stuff that is interesting to people. And I think it's interesting to other toy photographers, but I do think that this has a place amongst just people who are enjoying watching and looking at toy photographers, because seeing the process is very interesting. Everybody's seen how somebody has taken a portrait of somebody. That's neither here nor there. Everybody knows how a portrait is taken. Like, you've been to a wedding, you've seen the bride and the groom standing there, and there's some professional photographer taking the photo. We've all seen that. most people have not seen this. Like it's this, I think, really invites the audience into the process, and you present it in a very artistic, intelligent way. So you're seeing all the details. I know there was once, I forget which series it was, but you took a photo of, like, you know, of the thing, and you were like with your phone and said, this is for depth or whatever. Like the reasoning why you put that in. You didn't just sit there and say, I'm sticking this in there. Like you said, I'm putting this in there. And then when people go back to the photo, they can see that, yes, you tried to place something in front of the subject to create depth in the scene. And yeah, you're giving reason. You're giving some, like, you're showing more of the process than just like, okay, here's a snapshot. This is what we did. And I think that's really cool. I really do. I love that you've been doing this. It's super important.
Yeah, thanks. I like to keep things simple because, you know, I've seen a lot of behind the scenes, and you know, people sometimes try to explain the gear. Maybe I use like a Leon Cube and I don't know which camera, which type of lighting, but to people that they don't really care. They just want to keep it simple because they don't understand what a Leon Cube is. You know, for example, these are I would say cheap lights, LED lights from Amazon. I will get from Newer. So it's something everyone can do because I like to use things that I have around. Maybe if it's useful, I will use a light. I will use two. But I love how natural light looks, and so I use a lot of light bouncers instead of adding more lights. So that's what I try to use and to share with people, that you can start doing toy photography too. It's easy. You have the things at your house that you can use. For example, you'll see the behind the scenes from the Ponita shot I just sent you, because it's similar to that. I just started using whatever I had at hand, which is something that happens a lot. I don't know, I have a book. I will use a book to hold something light. I don't know. So that happens a lot. And that's important to me to share that with people, so people can know that it's not magic. That sometimes people thinks that I'm putting a background there in Photoshop. Yeah. It's not that I hate it. It's totally fair, but I like to trick you guys. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, again, you do it well. You do it really, really well. I really love this. And I love the image here is like, again, I'm assuming you just took it with your phone. It's just, this is what I was using. Here you go. Like, you know, they get to see what the end result was, and then all of a sudden they see this and they're like, wait, huh? And I do think it gives people a little bit of inspiration. Like, yeah, you can do this with anything. You can make this work. Like, you don't have to worry about all the fancy things. You don't have to worry about having a bunch of Photoshop knowledge. Like, you can do toy photography. It's a very attainable goal. So this is great, though. Love it.
Thanks.
I like the little border too. I'm just going to point that out. I think the way that you tie everything together is very clean and very organized.
It looks clean on the outside, but here at home, it's
not.
So I have all these figures from this game. Catherine is like one of the coolest looking games. It's hard, but it's like, when I saw this, I had to stop and put it in there because you definitely do not shy away from color. Like, you literally like punch people in the face with pinks, bright reds, oranges, yellows, and I love it. So
yeah, that's actually what I'm thinking right now. This actually, when I post this one, I'm seeing, I can identify it. It was not the final version. For me, it looked kind of blue. So you'll find it, the final version, on the top 10 of the year, I think it was. You will see the final version, which is a little bit better to me. And I want actually to print this one and have it at home because we love it, and I have the space for it. Here, just to my right, there's a space just for that photo because here we love it.
Yeah.
And talking about the pop color again, this makes me want to focus on color, because I probably would have desaturated this, and it makes me annoyed at myself. It makes me actually like mad at me, Because if I had tried to take this image, I would have been like, oh, this is very nice. And I would have taken the saturation, I would have dropped it like 10 points just because I don't know, there's something wrong with me. But it makes me want to go play with some bold colors. It really does. Like your use of bold colors it's exciting. It's beautiful. It is absolutely just like, I look at this and it's like, oh, like the background is just so vibrant. And, it's like I don't think I've taken a photo half this vibrant, like ever, like in my lifetime. It's there's just so much here. It's too cool.
Thanks a lot.
I think it also goes to like, because you have some Ochako ones from My Hero Academia with the pinks too, and it's just like
like this one.
Yeah, and it's so, you're right, they would frame really nicely. I have some an artist that did some for Demon Slayer. I have them on my wall. They have like the bright colors too. It just looks really cool with the video game and anime properties, especially since the figures are so well done. The pops of color just really help. So love it. I have to show this is like literally top 10 images for me in toy photography ever. Like I made like a little squeal when I saw this because Erwin never gets any justice, and this was like the coolest thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, that's almost the remake of not remake, the HD remaster, I would say, with blood in it, and I just love that scene. Erwin is my favorite character from Attack on Titan, so yeah, I just had to make some justice to it.
You just don't see them very often because they have so many of the main leads and everything like that. And then this Figma came out and kind of like left. No one really pre-ordered it again. The re-release just came out and I got myself another one because I want to get him dirty. So I'm gonna take him out. If I break him, at least I'll have a second. But
you do that too. Yeah.
Usually buy doubles sometimes because I'm like, I'm gonna break this. But the effects with the blood splatters, the way that the horse's face is not in focus, like you really got Erwin's determination in this is just well done and well thought out. Like I really, really like it.
But you can still tell it's a horse, which is cool. Because I think that, again, these are little details that I feel like, separate artists from just people snapping photos. Is it's out of focus just enough. But like, if it had been too out of focus and it was just a white blob, it wouldn't have it would have been like, what is this guy doing? But like, to just be honest, I don't know who this is. I don't know this character, but I can tell that they're riding a horse. Like it would have been very easy for someone like me to be like, I don't know what this person is doing. But I think that is so cool. Like even the amount of the horse's head that you kept in the frame, you kept a good amount. If you had chopped it like a little bit too much, it might have been a little confusing, like what it is. But it's like just the right amount that it's adding to the photo without taking away from the photo. It's like it walks that nice little perfect line. So what can I say? You're good. You're good at what you do.
Thanks, Scott. Looks like you're reading my mind because something is that what actually happens. That about the horse, I remember thinking of it because I couldn't cut more of it. You wouldn't know it was a horse maybe, but you have to show only what you need.
Exactly. No, this is. I have too much fun with this. I love dissecting people's stuff. That's what I'm gonna do for a living.
You're good at it.
I've decided. I'm gonna just break art apart into little tiny detail pieces, but only in a positive way because art critics annoy me. I was just talking to my wife about this. Art critics just make me mad most of the times. Like I'll read like reviews and stuff of art openings in like New York, and I'm just like, oh, just shut up. No one cares what you're saying right now. Your opinions, but
okay. So this is my challenge photo, trying to get the one character into a winter scene in your style, Rob.
That's actually a good one. I like it.
Yeah. It's Gray from Fairy Tale, which is like one of the figures I hadn't shot yet, and this is one of the pop-up parade versions. But like this, I told you, I shot this about 30 minutes before you shot yours. So I was like outside with my potato flakes going on and doing this. But I really wanted to showcase the fact that you do focus on single subjects, and I always honestly enjoy that because sometimes everything can kind of get lost when you're trying to have like a big jumble of scene or a war scene or anything like that, where the characters like almost essence kind of will get wiped away. So it's really nice sometimes to have that heroic moment for each figure. So I appreciate it.
All that backlight back there too. It's lovely. Like just it's very Rob, just like coming up the sides of the pants and around the edges. You're getting all these like little highlights popping off from the light behind. That's
what I love.
So good. The hair is placed into that white bokeh, like right behind where it could have again easily fallen into the green, but it didn't. It's in the white, so the hair pops. And it's very clearly wintry. But man, hell of a shot, Steph. Hell of a shot.
Really good.
And then we'll go on to Scott's for his behind the scenes.
I had to love this. This made my morning. I was so excited seeing this.
I had to. There was no like I debated it. I wasn't sure if I was going to go so specific, but then I thought back to when we did Amy's. Her behind the scenes are such a specific part of her process too, that I was like, I feel like the past year of your feed has been developing this identity, this brand, and I felt like it would not be doing you justice if I didn't do it. It was like the silliest thing, but I was like, okay, I got to do it. So I threw it together and I was like, yeah, it's too fun. But yeah, it was a blast. Like I said, going through your feed and watching what you've turned it into, with this whole behind the scenes process and these behind the scenes photos. And this is like, it's like the cover of a book every single time. For each image, you have this like beautiful book cover that, you know, tells you the character, tells you that this is a behind the scenes story. It's got your logo on there. I know normally you put like a watermark and stuff on there too. It's bringing people into your experience too. You're not just showing them a photo and saying, here, look at this. You're making them a part of it, and you're giving people the opportunity to really dig into your process. And some people do that with just the art itself. Some people do it with a particular style or something they sneak in. We've had people in here who just like sneak little silly like symbolic things into their images. But you've done it with, like I said, it's like a cover to each story. Like you have this page, it's like, oh, we're about to see the behind the scenes of this photo that I just saw a little while ago. And then they can flip through and they can see like, okay, this is why he did this. This is why he did this. That's what the scene looked like before he took the photo. That's crazy. How did he do that? You know, it's really cool. I love it. I love what you've created, the bigger picture of what you've created. So.
Yeah, thanks. I'm actually now using Reels too. I just don't have it in my principal feed. I would say it's under separated because of this exactly. It's because of my feed. I like how it looks, and the Reels kind of break that, so I had to separate them. But I'm using the same thing you're seeing here, but as a video. Maybe you can see other things that I didn't explain on my behind the scenes post. But yeah, I'm doing both things.
Are you recording the reels on your phone while you're trying to shoot? Because I've been trying to figure this whole thing out. It's like an interesting, strange new world with the reels.
I'm so curious about this because I haven't even tried a reel. I have no idea exactly what a reel is. So somebody's going to have to go for this. So please explain.
It's TikTok from Instagram, you know? It's the video. You have 30 seconds. I know there's some updates that have maybe 1 minute. We have 30 seconds to use. So what I have to do it, and sometimes I forget. So I need to record all the thing. And there's a trick to it. Something I have to do is I record myself cleaning the mess, but I put that in reverse. So you see me putting everything in place so fast. And that's mainly because I tried the other way around. And sometimes I spend hours or just putting some things in it, so it wouldn't. I can have my phone recording me for 4 hours, you know. So I only record myself cleaning everything. So when you put that in reverse, I'm putting everything in. So it's more appealing for all of you guys that do toy photography. If you want to display what you're doing, this is great. You want to make it exciting for people. The most important thing is what you use and where. So it's like a little trick. It can be useful for you guys.
That's a great idea. I feel like every single one of these episodes, Steph, I hear somebody say one thing that just like blows my mind, where I'm just like, I never thought of that. Like, that is a very cool idea, like, of doing a video of your setup by reversing your cleanup. Like, it makes so much sense. You can make it so much quicker. Yeah, if you had a me setting up a scene, you'd see me like roaming around in the woods, like digging things out of the ground and it would be the most boring thing ever. But if you just saw me breaking it down in reverse, you see the process. That is too cool. That is too cool. Rob, like, we're about to continue on, but like, I want to ask you real quick, why toy photography? What made you do this?
You know, all my figures were there in the shelf, getting dust sometimes. But I have my showcase now, and they were standing pretty, but that wasn't enough. So I started with my phone because I wanted to look how cool he looks, you know? And I started sharing this in my Facebook page and my personal Facebook page. And then this got me into Instagram because I didn't like Instagram at first, but then I started doing this. And then I met the community. I saw people doing this. So I started to learn from them. And that was my process. And for me, it's therapeutic, you know. Sometimes whenever you get depressed, and this is only a therapy. I know people that are veterans, use Navi veterans, so this is a therapy for them, and it is to me. I sometimes all my Sundays go by taking a shot, maybe two, maybe all day. I'm editing the post and some things like that. So that's why I'm doing this. And this is the most important thing, is I want to share the stories of characters that I love, the stories that I love, that I love through my life. Full Metal Alchemist, Slam Dunk. I grew up with Dragon Ball. That's not my favorite, but Dragon Ball I grew up with Goku and all of that. So I want to share what I like, and I want to connect with people, with like I did with you. So that's what I like to do, meeting new people.
Yeah,
you said it perfectly. And it's so important what you said about the whole idea of it being like a therapy. I feel like it is such a way to kind of cleanse the real world and just sort of like get away from like the normal stuff, the day ins and day outs. Like, sometimes you just need that, you know, and it's hard to disconnect. You know, Steph and I have talked about this. You know, we work, you know, pretty busy, crazy jobs. I have a 2-year-old. I'm gonna have another one. It's there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's a good opportunity, even if it's an hour here, an hour there, you know, a day here. Like, it gives you a chance to just I don't think about anything else when I'm doing this. It's probably the only thing that I can think of that I do that actually I forget anything else that's going on. So yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool that you do that.
You ready, Scott?
I'm ready. I'm so pumped. I am so freaking pumped. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my freaking mind. This is stellar. This is stellar. Oh my god.
I had this in mind for a week, and then I put everything in it. It was fast. I'm glad this process was fast, because not always it is like this.
I love this. I mean, like, the image just as a whole, it's great. The framing it's so you. It's something I was really focusing on when I did it. Yeah, placement of the figure, placement of the rocks, like, everything is just so stellar here. The colors of the character with the backgrounds and stuff, it feels wintry. Like, you created a wintry feel even with the character. Like, that's some skill there. But I am so happy that you used flour too. That makes me even happier that we both used flour in our photos. And Steph used potato flakes, so we were all using food products as our snow. That is, oh my god, that's too good.
I actually thought it was going to be more of a mess than it already is. So it was so good. And remember what you say about the depth? I did the
Mhm.
same with this one. It's exactly the same.
Yep.
Because
Absolutely.
at first it looked plain to me, so I added a rock, I added some foam board there. So yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. That's what you end up doing. And I love that you do that. I love you think about that stuff because again, if that hadn't been there, yeah, it still would have been a nice photo, but by putting something in the bottom corners, it just created a sense of, for allowing the viewer to experience it, like they're watching it, they're seeing this, they're looking past the rocks in front to see, you know, the little character chilling there in the middle. And I think that's just awesome. I love that you just did this morning. Like, this is exactly what we're talking about. If anybody, I don't know if anybody listens to this who is not a toy photographer, but if there's one person out there who watches our videos, who's not a toy photographer, this is a perfect example. Just use stuff you have. Take your toys out. Have some fun. Like, you don't need to have all the best gear in the world. You don't need to have all these props and dioramas and stuff like that. That's fun. I mean, I like dioramas, but you can do it with basically nothing. Like, go enjoy it. Just think and let your brain be free for an hour. Like, it's too cool.
Are these real rocks, Rob? Do you have them in the house, like hanging out?
I actually brought some rocks because I wanted to do things like this. This is rocks from aquariums. You can find them in maybe, I don't know. Here we have it like in a Mexican eBay, but I bought this from an aquarium.
That's so good. I actually ended up using so we just like redid part of our backyard. We were doing like some of the landscaping and stuff, and I had extra like paver stones. That's what I stuck behind him. It's just like these leftover that we didn't end up using for anything else, so I just like lined them up behind him like a little wall. It's yeah, stone is such a fun thing to photograph because it scales pretty much no matter what. Like, that's the great thing about rocks compared to plants, is rocks, it doesn't matter the size of the rock, you can kind of just make it work because it's either a boulder or a tiny little pebble or a medium-sized rock. Like, you just find rocks, it'll fit pretty much.
They're easier to clean too with all the
oh god, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just like sprayed mine off and it was all gone. I love this.
Cool. No, I was very excited when you're like, I'm gonna take this really quick, and I saw the picture of your camera with this like going to be a shot. I was like, oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I actually need to take more photos of that T-Rex. I love it. And I have it right here. I love dinosaurs so much, but I don't do them much because exactly of the scale. I need to have something, and not always I have it. So yeah, I need to take more of them.
What is this dinosaur? Like, I've seen some of these and they look amazing. Like, what is the brand?
It's called Papo.
Oh yeah, the Papo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It's like a Schleich brand, but it's like a little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're pretty detailed. Pretty detailed. Yeah.
Very cool.
That is amazing. Rob, your work is so good. Like I said to you, like, your feed is amazing. It has such a specific, there's such a specific process. You can tell that it is thought out. It is not an accident. Nothing on your page is by mistake, and I love that. That's one of my favorite things about feeds. You know, I don't care, honestly, at the end of the day, if you are the most technically accurate photographer or if you're just somebody having fun. But whatever the case is, I always love when you can see reason and you can see a thought behind it. I enjoy that part. And your page clearly has so much thought, and you definitely, you take the time to make it like the way you want it to be. And I think that's so important and so cool. And I love looking at it. And I honestly, like, Steph kind of introduced me to your stuff. I say, Steph, at this point, I think it's maybe like 50-50. Like, 50% of the people, like, I already knew, and then the other 50%, it's like, oh my gosh, Steph just introduced me to this. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I have a really good time doing that because you know, when we have somebody on here who I've maybe followed since the beginning, I don't necessarily feel the need to go and dig because I've been looking at their feed for so long. But with you, I spent like all this time just scrolling back and then going back forward again and then scrolling again and then going back and forth. And I talk about this whenever there's like a new photographer I'm introduced to. I will just like sit in my car like before work and I'm just like just looking over and over and over again until like I kind of feel like I have a real sense of what they're trying to accomplish. And yeah, just wonderful, wonderful stuff. I love seeing it, and I can't wait to see more stuff with these, like, again, behind the scenes and this and that.
Thanks a lot. For me, it's only play. That's what I always say. You have to play around and see the other things you're missing because you're trying to be so technical that sometimes less is more. So that's what I have to say.
Absolutely. You forget, you get yourself so distracted by like, oh, I want this and I want that and I want this and I want that. And I've had so many times, it's more early on. I've kind of reeled it in a bit now, but I've realized that sometimes my favorite photos that I've taken were not overthought. They weren't overly complicated. It was me in a space, and then I made that space work for the figure. And then I was really happy with the end result. Sometimes when I've gone like over the top and like, oh, I want this and I need to have this and I need to have this, and it's all like planned out, and I go and get this thing to work with it, and it ends up being over like so complicated that I look at the photo at the end and I'm like, this sucks. Like I don't even like this anymore. Like I don't even like the idea. Forget the end result.
Yeah, that happens.
So yeah, I know.
Very cool. Well, Rob, you made it through an entire hour of us talking, so it's pretty exciting.
It went so fast.
Good. We always hope that like somebody doesn't get to the end and be like, oh my gosh, that felt like 3 hours. Like
no, actually, it felt like 5 minutes. You know.
Good. That's awesome. Rob, where can people? I don't know how much you go. I always like to ask people though, because certain people are really, really deep into the toy photography. Some people are not. Do you have like Facebook accounts or Twitter or anything like that, or is it basically just your?
I have a Facebook page which I have been not posting a lot because, well, posting in Instagram and TikTok, because in TikTok I'm showing this in Spanish, and this is like a walkthrough of all the process. The same I'm posting in Reels and in the behind the scenes, but I'm doing that in Spanish, so I'm doing that also there. So I spend a lot of time doing that, you know, and I have a work, I have things to do. I love to play video games, and I've been stuck with Pokemon Unite these days that I don't have time to do a lot of things. So I don't have I have a Twitter, which I don't use because I'm not so used to that. But yeah, only Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. Yeah.
Very cool. It's cool that you do things both for Spanish and for English. Like that's really, really unique too to hear. And I'm glad because we get a lot of questions, and on Instagram, you never know if someone's language, what they're going to be, and you can DM them and talk to them and do all that stuff. But sometimes it doesn't come across. And so when we do these things, it's nice to be able to talk and be able to know somebody. It's like if they need somebody to talk to, be like, oh yeah, let me get a hold of Rob and maybe he can answer your question or help you with that. That's really cool. So I do want to say thank you again, though. I'm so excited you said yes to coming on and hanging out with us for a whole time.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, me too. So thankful. So.
And this is the point where I'm going to say, I'm going to end the broadcast.
And we say, you're awesome.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, yeah, no, you're awesome. Thank you.
Well, y'all, thank you for listening to another wonderful episode of the combined SBN F-Stop Rebel podcast. Truly a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed everything. Remember, please do not grow up. It's a waste of time. I am Scott, F-Stop Rebel, and there's obviously Steph.
Yep, I'm still here, and you can find me at Slag My Thrilla or the SBN. You'll see all the credits on the end, but I always want to say, just guys, stay awesome and keep it up.